Hi, welcome to the Sunday art lesson. Thank you for joining me here today. Today we're going to do drawing into watercolor painting. My name is James Brandess and I'm very glad you're here. Drawing. There are several types of drawing, many different types of drawing. We've gone over a few. One you may remember is the sketch, using a pencil, a piece of paper. An artist will sketch to show the placement of objects. They might show areas of light and dark. The key component of the word sketch is quick. So you can see that this is a quick sketch. There's another type of drawing, particularly when working with a figure, and it's called a gesture drawing. So if we're drawing somebody who's running, the gesture drawing will look something like to get the gesture of, and we get inside the figure. And let's say somebody is twisting. Well, the gesture drawing will be something like that to show the twist. Today, we're going to work on something called contour drawing. Contour drawing, where we imagine we are touching the edge of the object to show the outline of the form, the contour. Now, this type of drawing was first talked about by a man named Nicolade in the 1940s, and probably one of the best drawing books ever written. And he talks about contour drawing. Also, a lady named Betty Edwards in, I want to say, the 80s, Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. Excellent drawing books, talks about contour drawing. Contour drawing is, well, let me show you some photos of contour drawing. Picasso did some very nice contour drawings. So you can see how his lines describe the outside of the form. Very clean, continuous lines that very beautifully describe the form. Let me show you another one. This is of some horses. You can see those simple contour lines. And here's one of some ladies that he did. Now, if you were to say that Picasso was one of the greatest contour line drawings of all time, you would be close. His drawing was excellent. You may think that maybe Leonardo da Vinci or Michelangelo was a great contour line drawer. Would you believe me if I told you that one of the greatest contour line drawings was a lady in Wellsville, Kansas, Elizabeth Layton. Here's a picture of Elizabeth Layton. And she first picked up pencil and took an art class when she was 67 years old. Now, she did a type of contour drawing that we call blind contour drawing. It doesn't mean that she was blind. What she's doing, she has her pencil, she was looking at the object, which in this case is herself. Here's a picture of her process right there of looking in the mirror and imagining the pencil touching the edge of her face. Blind contour never looks at the paper. The type of contour drawing we're going to do today, we will periodically look at the paper, but blind contour is she never looked at the paper. Let me show you this. You've seen this picture, so let me now show you this one right here, which is the drawing that she did. So notice this line, how she very meticulously outlines her hand and her wrist and then gets into these lines in every line of her face. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about Elizabeth Layton. She was very troubled, had a lot of problems, a very difficult life. And at age 67, when she took this art class at Ottawa, Kansas University, it was her first art class ever, and it was a last resort for her. Really, she was at what she thought was her road's end. And the assignment, the teacher's name was Pal Wright. And what the assignment was, to draw honest and clear lines, to don't erase, make every line work, even if it doesn't feel right to you, and to make your drawing go all the way to the edge of the paper. Now, what I want to tell you that the secret ingredient in these contour line drawings is slowness. These are not fast. We go meticulously slow. You go as slow as you possibly can when doing these. Imagine the pencil touching the edge. That's the secret ingredient of a contour line drawing. Let me show you a couple more. I want to tell you that through this process of line contour line drawings, this lady was not only able to create these wonderful works of art where she took on personas and she championed many social causes dealing with aging and sexism and equal rights and so forth. But through this process, she also solved a whole number of problems in her life, and it was very therapeutic for her as well. Here's one that incorporates some flowers, but it's also her husband and her. So as she became more skilled, she branched out. Her subject matter became more profound. Here's one of her more famous drawings where she's championing her issues, her buttons: seeker of truth, lover of arts, equal rights, I am loved. And a very powerful, she became very powerful through her art, through the practice of line contour self-portrait drawing. Today we are going to start with a contour line drawing of the flowers, of the spring flowers. I'm going to show you how to start, and then I'm going to, for the painting, when we go into the watercolor, I'm going to go to the drawing I did yesterday, rather than, as I said, slowness is the key. So I'm not going to ask you to sit and watch the entire process, but I want to read again, as slow as you can go. I'm going to imagine the pencil. I'm going to start where the vase meets the flowers, the leaf. I'm going to start, and as much as possible, without looking at the paper, going very slow, imagining my pencil is touching the edge like an ant, crawling along the edge of the form. And I'm not worried about light and dark the way I may be in a sketch. And you know, I want to tell you, as slow as I am going, I'm going to ask you to go even slower if you can. Look at your paper only to reposition your pencil. Now I'm imagining my pencil is touching the edge of the vase and going like an ant all the way down. As slow as you can tolerate. slow as I'm going here, I'm going to ask you to go even slower. Just as slow as you possibly can. Look at your paper to reposition your pencil. I'm going to ask you, just as the teacher told Elizabeth Layton, to see if your drawings can go all the way to the edge of the paper. Right now, I'm imagining the pencil is gliding over the table that the vase is sitting on, just as slow as you can possibly go. Looks like right here, I'm going to jump off just a moment and just imagine my pencil gliding over the rim of that cup. And again, even slower, as slow as you can possibly go. I'm going to ask you not to erase. Look at your paper to reposition the pencil. And the more we can concentrate, the more we're able to imagine that the pencil is touching the side of the form. And again, I'm going to ask you not to erase. So in this drawing from yesterday, you'll see how there's all sorts of marks which didn't make sense. It's like I repositioned my pencil and I continued on. That's what I'm going to ask you to do. Strong, honest lines. What does that mean, strong, honest line? Don't erase. Make your painting draw honest and definite lines. Let me show you in Picasso. These are strong, honest lines. They just very clearly outline the form. This type of drawing is called contour drawing. All right, so now that we've done your contour drawing, and I'm going to ask, again, you take your time and enjoy it. We're going to go into watercolor painting, and I'm going to paint yesterday's contour drawing. And so I've got my cups of water. The first thing I do when I do any painting is I choose my palette, meaning I choose the colors I'm going to use. When I do watercolors, I tend to choose lots of yellows. So I'm going to choose, for this painting, cadmium lemon, cadmium yellow light, and cadmium yellow medium. I'm going to choose yellow ochre, and I'm going to choose a cadmium red medium, and alizarin crimson. I'm going to use a burnt umber, which is a brown. I'm going to use 3 different blues as well: cerulean, cobalt, and ultramarine blue. And I want to show you what these colors are to help you get an idea and the reason I'm choosing them. So the cadmium lemon is a very light, very thin yellow. And as you can see, particularly when I blot it, get even lighter, how it'll be useful on those where these backlit spring flowers are backlit by the sun. The cadmium yellow light is a little bit richer. And then, as you can see, I have all different yellows in those flowers, and that's what happens when I light it. And then the yellows go into sort of an orangey quality, and so I'm going to use a cadmium yellow medium. Let me show you the cadmium yellow medium. See how that has more of an orangey quality there. Yellow ochre is a sort of a Dijon mustard type color. It is earth color. Let me show you that. Yellow ochre. And cadmium red medium. Now, this is a very rich color. And I really like it, but I'm not crazy. Unlike oil, I'm not crazy about it when I mix it with yellow. It doesn't make the great orange that I like, which is why I use the next color, Alizarin Crimson. But it's a very rich red, and you gotta be a little careful with this color because if you want to create light, it's a difficult color. It's a very heavy red. Let me show you the Alizarin Crimson, which is the next color I use, which is a little more transparent and is useful in making other colors, particularly purple. And I also sometimes will use it with yellow to make an orange. And you can see how it's lighter in feel and it's a little bit purplier. And in a moment, I'll show you what happens when I mix that color with blue. Burnt umber is a good, strong brown. And now I'm leaving off a green. We're going to mix all our greens. But I'm going to show you the 3 blues. The cerulean blue, very, very light in feel, very transparent. Cobalt blue, a little heavier, deeper, and ultramarine blue. It's a bit darker yet. Still has a nice transparency, and I want to show you what happens when I mix the ultramarine blue with the alizarin. Get a very nice purple. if you'll bear with me, I want to show you, I want to mix, I'm going to show you what happens when using each of the yellows, mixing them with each of the blues and the kind of green that we get. So I'll do this as quickly as I can. Here's a cadmium lemon. All right, here's a cadmium lemon mixed with the cerulean blue, which is the lightest blue. There it is right there. I get a green like that. And because they're both delicate colors, the darks that I can get are limited and also delicate. It's a nice springy kind of color. Now here's a cadmium lemon mixed with a cobalt blue. Now right off the bat, you see it's darker, and to lighten it actually takes a little bit of work to keep it light. And this is what happens when I mix cadmium lemon with the ultramarine blue. So this column right here, this is cadmium lemon. And feel free to do your own mixing if you're able during this, to experiment, or afterwards. It's a good thing just to mix your colors. So cadmium lemon with the 3 different blues that we use. The next thing we're going to do is the cadmium yellow light with 3 different blues that we use. So here's cadmium light, and here we are mixing it with the cerulean blue. Get the brush nice and clean. And again, because that cerulean is a delicate color, it's to get a deep dark with that. It's a little more of a challenge. But there, and you can sort of see the difference there. And then if we mix that with a cobalt blue, the cadmium yellow light with cobalt blue, looks to me like the type of green I may see on a summer oak tree in full leaf. And then cadmium yellow light with some ultramarine blue. And the last thing I want to show you is the cadmium yellow medium, that sort of orangey yellow mixed with our 3 blues. So this is cadmium yellow light. Next one is going to be cadmium yellow medium. And I'm going to mix that first with the little bit of the cerulean blue. And just heat this up a little bit. I'm going to put the cobalt blue right there. And ultramarine blue right there. And clean the brush real good. So cadmium yellow medium and cerulean blue. Again, it seems to be more subdued to me. It's cerulean blue is just a very delicate. So it doesn't. And also the yellow, it's sort of an orangish yellow, so it's not like a bright, bright like that. And then cadmium yellow medium with the cobalt blue. And that's sort of a deep summer sagey kind of a green. And then the cadmium yellow medium with the ultramarine blue. So, let's say cad yellow medium. This type of thing, not just doing the greens, but you can experiment with the purples and mixing all the colors is a very useful thing to do. It will help when choosing the colors for the painting. And the way the light is hitting this still life, particularly over on this side with those leaves that stick out, I can see that I want to be light and springy in here, and it also looks like as we move inwards, I'm going to be in this column, and in the deep shadow areas, some greens like this I think will be very useful. So that's why I put out 3 yellows and 3 blues. And with that said, I'm going to start, and I appreciate you watching that. I'm going to try to use some of this in my painting, clean my area a little bit, and bring yesterday's drawing into position here. The shadows that you see on the still life that are being created by the sun coming through the back. And I don't always do that, but because those are going to change, I think I'm going to lock those in the beginning to see if I can, so that I'm not going to be changing the shadows continually through the painting. Look at this like that. Let's do it like that. So I'm going to take this brush right here, which is a number 12 brush, if that's important to you. And let's see if I can indicate some shadows. Now, when I paint, after I choose my palette, is I let go of the drawing. The drawing is not there to, like a coloring book, to fill it in. It's going to become a guidepost. It will help me, but it's not going to limit me. I find that when I paint, I often like to paint without drawing at all, and I think I've done that in here. And one artist's working is not everyone's way of working. So in this case, I have done a drawing, but as I say, I'm not going to let it limit me, and I'm not going to stay in the lines necessarily. almost always keep a towel in the hand that I'm not painting with for blotting and so forth. Even my shadows, I still keep things fairly light in the beginning of a watercolor, if I can. I tend to get carried away. I tend to go for darks right away, the darkest darks. But you know, the secret currency, or the secret to watercolor, there's two of them. They're not secrets. One, of course, is water. The other is the paper. It's the white of the paper. The white is sort of our currency. So what that means is, once we paint on the paper, we have spent. We've spent our money. If you'll forgive that crude analogy. And it's very difficult, if not impossible, to get the white back. So I view that as a game. It's sort of one of the joyful, fun things of watercolor, to keep, you know, or if we're playing chess, it's like the queen. We want to protect our queen and apply the paint where necessary. So protect ourselves a little bit, keep things light until we know we want to go dark. Maybe that's too cautious, and I don't want to make a timid painter. So if that's the case, I apologize. This is my plate that had the cadmium yellow medium and the ultramarine blue. And I'm going to do that. I add a little bit of an umber into that as well. But still, water, our other secret, helps, even though I'm using a dark. It actually, if I use a lot of water, it'll temper it. It'll keep things as light as they need to be. And the other will be, if I've gotten carried away and wanted actually a little bit lighter, is the paper towel, and I can blot and bring a bit of lightness back. But notice that I will not bring back the pure white of the paper. The next thing is to try to paint the larger areas. So again, the shadows. The trickiest thing for me, and some people love it, it's the easiest thing for some artists, but white is particularly to make it look like it's painted enough, but not to mess with it and not to go back in with white. So I'm going to see if I can create some of these forms, bringing out the white of those white spring flowers. And interesting. So let me just look at this for a second, because when I look out the window, the grass is sort of a green, but my leaves are green. So let me see. I've already said that I think this is going to be the cadmium lemon mixing in there is going to give me the lightness of the leaves. Interesting. Out the window, in a very light form, I sort of see that. Again, it's a cadmium yellow and the blue. So I think I'm going to stick with this plate a little bit. But this I want to keep very delicate and just suggest, again, around these forms. Here I get sort of a warm brownish sort of color. So let's try some of this. sort of stopped here, I am going to remember Nicolade in Elizabeth Layton's Teacher, where he told people to go to the edge. So I'm gonna alter things a little bit as I go and see if I can go a little more to the edge. And I can always, if I can salvage just a little bit of that light, keep it very subtle, I can always go back into it. Give myself a little bit of space there. I think, as I said, I think my drawing can come out a little bit more. And myself a little bit here. Now, there's some nice, interesting shadow patterns out that window, but before I do that, so there's another secret ingredient in the watercolor. One is water, two is the white of the paper. The other is the opposite of water, letting things dry, going to somewhere else. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let this dry a little bit before I go back into that. And I'm going to see if I can bring out, let's see, there's two ways to do this. I can go for the darker areas of leaves, or I can, well, there's three ways. I go for the darker areas of flowers, then do behind them, and then do the lighter, the very light. I'm going to see if I can go for the very light. Now, as I said, when looking at this, I like to indicate these lights. I like the cadmium lemon. And so for this, I'm going to go to my cadmium lemon plate. And just very subtly, keeping my red handy here. And I'm going to see if I can just suggest some of these very light, and even that was a little bit heavy, so I'm going to use a little bit more white. There we go. There we go. I just sort of suggest. There's another thing that I noticed I tend to do, and maybe it's because I'm a oil painter. I'm not sure what it is, but again, water. I tend to keep things too dry, and if I let the water take over, even though it may seem out of control, it's a better thing. Now I'm going to go into this. See, out of control, but you know what? I like let the water do the work here. Now, let me show you this one. That's drying just a little bit. I talked about orange. I don't use orange in my palette. I like to mix my oranges, but there's Alizarin Crimson, and here is some cadmium red, and I'm going to use my cadmium yellow light to show you the difference in the oranges that we're going to get here. Here's that cadmium yellow light with the Alizarin Crimson. All right, and then here is the cadmium yellow light with the red. That just looks, again, it's because of the richness of that red. It it's so heavy looking, and that is just so light that I'm going to stick with the Alizarin Crimson and the cadmium yellow. And see if I can't lay in some of these beautiful orangey reds. It's a little bit risky. It's very wet in through here, but I want to see if I can set things off just a little bit. Maybe let things be a little out of control if I can. A little more of the cadmium yellow. And again, it's the risks that we feel that we take when we do watercolor that's really the fun of it. And now, while that dries a little bit, I'm going to, like right there, I just love what happened, like right there. So I'm going to keep painting, stop talking so much, and see if I can move down just a little bit. Let's see. going to let this dry for a bit and tinker with it this afternoon and have fun with it. I hope you too will have fun with drawing into watercolor. I hope you will practice your contour drawings, and if you get a chance, look for a drawing book, Nicolade, and check out the art of Elizabeth Layton. Also, I want to say thank you. A number of people have sent in donations for the art kits we've been giving out, and I appreciate that very much. And if y'all need an art kit, please let me know. We'll order some more, and I hope to do another art lesson for you next Sunday. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Be safe, be well, be inspired.